doing sausages.
Yeah. Oh, man. You know, this glacier, so they say it's talking to us. It's certainly
Yes,
making a lot of noise.
it does, shouting at us today. Yeah, I think. Yeah, that large crack you hear is mostly the sound of it hitting the water, smacking the water. But every once in a while you can hear it crack. And this is actually quite a noisy place. If you listen really carefully, obviously the booms of the glacier, but all around us is the ice melting in the water. And when in the melting, you can hear it almost like Rice Krispie cereal. It kind of snaps and crackles and pops, and that's releasing trapped air. So there's air bubbles that are trapped in there. And glacier ice is very dense, but there is a little bit of air left in it. And when it cracks and pops open, that's releasing that air. And how old is that air? It's hard to say. Um, these glaciers aren't nearly as old as what we might think of. They're not hundreds of thousands of years old, but it's thousands of years old ice. And so that means it's thousands of year old air. And that's one way that we can tell what the climate was like in the past. You're aware of that.
Yeah, I definitely can hear the popping. It's
Mm-hmm.
as soon as we came into the bay, it was just really apparent, and it is like Rice Krispie cereal. It's just everywhere, all around us. There's a lot of little pieces of ice, and we were talking a little bit earlier that it's the low tide was within the last hour or so. So a lot of the ice we're seeing in the bay now is kind of what's broken off and is starting to be pulled away from the shore.
Exactly right. Yeah. So as the tide goes out, we get this long string of ice that flows out towards the end of the glaciated fjord here, and then as the tide rolls in, it'll push some of that ice back in. So sometimes, as the captain was mentioning, you just can't get close because it's so packed in, and so that release of air is also releasing a lot of minerals into the water, and so this is a good place for big plant growth. And plant growth here doesn't take the same form as it would, say, on shore. We get very small types of algae that grow, and so the species that we're concerned about are usually big species. They're the ones we see, but it's really not the concern of it's what they eat. It's their food.
Right.
And the less nutrients that are in the water, the less those plants can grow, and the less the small animals can eat them, and the bigger animals so on up. So it's a real baseline concern here when that changes. So.